Oh, hi folks. Wednesday, the 24th of April. I've got my specs on, I can barely read. Uh, Bit of a strange video tonight, I suppose. It's just talking about life. How about that then? Um, I got some news today to tell me some quite sad news. Is that my mother hasn't got very long to live. Um, uh, anyway, I shall keep you abreast of that one. But it's on my mind. But it's of no surprise, to be honest with you. And so we'll leave it at that. And it doesn't stop you when you get news like that, um, thinking about the good times and how precious life is. And she's been a perfect mother for me. Anyway, on another note, I thought the best way to get over the news is to do a video and crack on, as they say. And one of the things I've realised, because she's at a ripe old age, she actually has Alzheimer / dementia, and she doesn't know me from Adam, quite frankly, but I know her. That's the tough bit. And it's such a cruel disease because I can't reminisce with her anymore. I've got it all in my head. And that's the tough thing. The lights are on, but no one's in. You get me? And it begs the question whether there is truly a God. Sometimes when you watch people go down the toilet, slowly but surely. Because if there was a God, he wouldn't let it, or they wouldn't let it happen to them, would they? And, this is why I often question the existence of God, our creator, which there has to be some form of creator. But evidently what we think isn't important in the grand scale of our lives and development, because if it was, our loved ones wouldn't deteriorate before our very eyes. But at least I suppose I got plenty of chances historically to say goodbye. And, that's the way it is. I think that you can forgive the little children as you grow older, because you've got to be old enough to be able to look back and forgive them, for they know not what they do. And when I was young, I remember that I used to get bent out of shape about such trivia. And then it was almost embarrassing now to look back on it and how het up I used to get about trivial shit, basically. And it was very, very important to me at the time. Oh, yes, it was, absolutely. Who did this? Where's my things gone? Who's put that there? Why is he using it or she using it? And why didn't they ask me for my permission? Yada, 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 typical sort of teenage things. And then, we think we're growing up, and then we start to be a little bit more possessive, and then we learn to be a little bit more secretive, don't we? We keep our little secrets as though, quite frankly, who gives a shit what little secrets you harbour, honestly? But it's important at the time, isn't it? I know something you don't know, ne. And these people are quite pathetic. And very often that tends to be quite prevalent in the working environment, especially if you're working with a team of people. And you can sit in the coffee room sometimes, as I used to do, looking at these people who all have separate lives to mine, of course, and they know next to nothing about me. Because whenever you talk to them, they just want to talk about their lives. Me and my hubby, me and my sons. My son's doing this, my auntie's doing that, yada, yada, yada. And you think, yeah, tell me something of interest, will you? I'm just, the lights are on, but no one's in. And it's rather strange. I often wondered whether as we approach our older age, 50 plus, do we go into a second childhood? And I think we do. Most of the older people I tend to join with or know can be incredibly childlike, childish, churlish, childlike. On many occasions, you think, well, God, at your age, come on, grow up a little bit. Well, grow up a little bit. He's 70, you know, and they get very precious about things. And when I was younger, I'm sorry to bounce around, but when I was younger, I used to want the newest of everything. Oh yes, if it looked the slightest bit manky, I'd get rid of it and buy a new one. And to be honest with you, the old one worked just fine. Absolutely just fine. It served its purpose. Loyal little thing that it was. Could have been a potato peeler, as trivial as that. But a new potato peeler would hit the scene and I just had to have it. Oh yeah, baby. And, well, I always, when I was younger, perceived old people as being tight asses. Well, God, you got all this money and, the people I knew, and they've got the house paid for, the kids are left home, they got more money than, it's rather ironic, isn't it, when their needs, when their expenses have gone and they've left and fled the nest, what have they got? They've got an asset worth probably 200,000, 300,000 in the house. Them and their wife look at each other. He does his thing, she does her thing. They barely talk. Because by the time you've been with somebody for about 50 years, I suppose, you're all talked out, aren't you? There's no mystery anymore. All the seduction has gone out of it, hasn't it? And, there's nothing I don't know about my wife, I think. Well, I'm a pretty open book. I don't have any secrets from my wife. Maybe, just maybe, she has some little dark secrets I don't know about. And she keeps them very preciously tight and away from me. Because some people are like that. Some people are. Me, I don't have any secrets. And I can be very blunt. Because I believe to be very blunt as well. I'm very, I'm of that sort of character that if, I used to go through a phase of something pissed me off. I just used to be quiet about it. But then you get fed up because all you get out of the people around you are saying, something wrong? I said, no, absolutely not. Oh, why'd you ask? Well, you just seem preoccupied thinking about something. No, nothing's wrong. Well, what I really wanted to say is what you did the other day or said about me the other day really pissed me off, and I found out about it and I'm really, really angry. But I'd rather avoid the argument because that would always, always be the result of such a confession, because it's not open to debate. Not in my opinion. They've said their piece, they've spread the evil deeds out there, like sprinkling them around, and come to my attention that's what they've said or reported to other people about me. And if that's the way they think, what's the point of me sort of saying, you convince a man against his will and he's of the same opinion still. This is what happens when people form an opinion on you or on something you've done. And no amount of talking will justify the fact that they've betrayed you. You've caught them talking behind your back. It's come to your attention that somebody's said something crass and unworthy of them. So your whole perspective or the way you look at them has changed now. You think, I thought I trusted you. And I invested time in you and, I thought you were okay, but you're just like all the others because it's human nature, isn't it? This is what they're like. But as I grow older now, I suddenly realise that now I understand why old people are like they are. And particularly when they're buying things. And as I said, older people tend to have got rid of the expenses in life. They're just cruising and, it's God's waiting room. And, you say, well, look at the bloody car they drive, for God's sake. Look at, we've seen the state of their cutlery. Well, you would think they were matching cutlery and nice knives and forks and, but they don't. They look like they're stuck in the 50s and 60s. They've had them for years, since the 60s and 70s, and they still eat their dinner off these bloody plates or this crappy cutlery. And look at the kitchenware, for example, and by God, those tea towels have seen better days. And they are so cheap? Why don't you just go and buy a new set? The towels in the bathroom are looking a mess. They've got silicone around the bath, needs redoing really, but hey ho, it's been like that for 25 years. They've made do, haven't they? And this is the problem with old folk. Certainly the ones that have endured the Second World War. I mean, yes, they're probably around about 12 years old during the Second World War, must be about 80 by now. But you look, you think, why? How can you live in the modern day in living in such an antiquated shithole? Now, I don't mean shithole meaning it's dirty. I mean the house is tired. The house is growing as old as they are. But they don't recognise that. They really don't. They don't see it. They still see it as their wonderful choice of wallpaper. The way they decorate. The Axminster carpets have seen better days and are wearing threadbare. A newbie like me comes in and starts to have a look and think, why don't they? They've got the money. Why don't they change it? And the fact remains is that there's no need, because it's not important. It's not important to them. It's served them well. And if it's doing well and it's served them well, what's the point of changing, you see? Who are they looking to impress? They buy a new carpet, they get it decorated, the house, and they buy a new bathroom suite and get the bath sitted nicely with a nice, nice shower unit, and it looks dead mod. But now you see, I can understand, because they probably think, well, I've got 10 years left in me. There's no real point in spending the bloody money on making it look nice. Well, ultimately, they'll give their money to their relatives anyway, the ones that out-survive them. Maybe. And you think, well, the fact remains it's not important. Because what I think is important is probably trivia to them. And they think, well, as he grows older, talking about me, he'll think differently in a few years. He'll be thinking just like us. And now I find myself at 57, 58 in July, thinking just like my dad. When I was 12 and he was whatever he was, 50. Now I understand how he thought. But you've got to be there. You've got to go through it. You can't just, Now I realise why older people think the way they do, because you don't appreciate that when you're younger. You just think they're being tightwads. Why don't they make it a nice home? Why don't they? Of course it's a nice home. It's a nice home to those who own it, and, they do their best with what they want. And I'm the same now. I've got a fair bit of cash in the bank. And I see things, even my children are left home, and I think, well, I could give them the money. But they've got enough of their own money. Well, enough, relatively, for their lifestyle. They seem happy. I'm pleased that they're earning it. And I've got, well, quite frankly, more money than I need to exist. And now I find myself looking for things to buy. And there's nothing I want. Because the things I do want are so far out of my reach, I can't buy them, and there's no price tag. The important things to me. And it's true what they say. Money can't buy you health. I'd like to buy a new heart, personally. That's about some of it. Everything else about me is okay, it seems, but the ticker's a bit dodgy. But I can't buy that. And if I could, I don't know if I would, be honest with you. Because there's nothing more tedious in life than wake up in the morning wanting nothing, because that's what I find myself doing. I look for things on eBay now that I really don't need. Yes, I can live without them, and I do. But I'm very tempted sometimes just to be, you know, I just buy it. What's the point? Because it'll come, and I'll play with it for a while, and I'll get bored. And I'll either give it away or sell it at a loss normally, and then it's on to the next thing. It's far better not to buy the bloody thing in the first place, isn't it? And this is what happens. You see, when you've got no money, you suddenly realise there's so much you want to buy. When you've got the money, you don't want to buy it anymore. You become almost Shylock-like. You know, just close this, excuse me. It's like, well, it's, you know, I can buy it. It's almost like seeing a beautiful woman, knowing damn well that I'll ask her out, she'll say yes, for example. You know I could have her, so I don't want it. You find yourself wanting things you can't afford or can't have. And this is the carrot in front of the donkey thing, isn't it? This is why people go to work. Why do you go to work? Well, why do you work harder? Why do you do the overtime? Why do you want a better job? More money? But you'll be as miserable as sin in that job. It's more money. More money means there's more things to buy that mean nothing. There has to be more to it than that, doesn't it? You don't want to change jobs just because it pays better. You might be as miserable as sin in that new job. At least you're comfortable where you are. You've been there for some time. Yeah, what do you mean there's no future? Tell me a job there's no... Tell me a career there's any future in, because there isn't any. 3/4 of the population in the UK will be 65 bored and broke because the pensions are screwed and that there's no pension funds to talk about. 42% of Americans reach the age of 65 with having no pension and no ability. They're all going to be starving. The shit's going to hit the fan in America sooner or later. But hey, seize the day, live for the moment. I think that's what it amounts to. Because the pension pots in Britain and America have both been raided. Yes, thanks to the Conservatives. So now I find myself thinking, well, I can go through the whole of eBay, quite frankly, and see things that I can afford and I don't want. But 20 years ago, I would have died for the money and the opportunity to buy them. And now I don't want them, even if I could have them, and they're available and they're not. You know? So it's great being able to look around at most things and saying, yeah, I could have it if I want it. But because I can have it, I don't want it. And then you get into this vicious circle. I only want things that are so out of my range. But then it's all about materialism, isn't it? And I've said before in my previous videos, as you grow older, you become less materialistic. It's not because you've accumulated the goodies that you hankered after in the past. It's the fact is, as you get older, you tend to stop wanting things. Things take on a different meaning. It's the number of days ahead of you and who you're going to spend it with, these critical golden years. This is very important. But I, being young with my parents, never appreciated this was their mentality. Their big preoccupation was to get 5 boys bought up, bread and buttered, and left home all in good, successful jobs, which we all fortunately had that ability to do. My parents were happy, you know. And they had sufficient money to bail us out the crapper a few times, as you do with your children. Only the once. Not for me, but for my other brothers on occasions. But they would only do it one each. And I can see that. I've got 2 children, and if they were in the crapper, I would bail them out, but just the once. If they did it again or got themselves in that position again, I wouldn't help them. And I think they appreciate that. But this is why people go to their graves with their songs still in them. This is why so many couples die and end up being, or parents die and end up going in the box with masses of money, which they would have had more pleasure out of the money by giving it away to their loved ones. But they kept it in reserve. And now the children will fight over who's getting what, won't they? Unless you've done a will. Well, I've only got 2 kids to worry about. And my wife, if she outsurvives me, my wife will control the distribution of any funds. Or if it's the other way round, I will control the distribution of funds. I've only got 2 lots to distribute it to, 50-50, very simples. As for the house, they can flog it and split the difference. Or buy one another out. It makes no odds to me because it's not important anymore. And now I do get it. Life isn't about the accumulation of things. It is about the accumulation of nice experiences and taking every day and seizing the day and wringing every drop of pleasure out of it. Because you never know when you close your little peeps at night whether you'll open them again. And this is where you say, I often wave my children goodbye when they're adults, but they come and say hi and give you a kiss. My children still kiss me like a child, and I think, are they kissing me and hugging me? Because yes, we still do. My 26-year-old son hugs me like I'm a kid. It's almost like role reversal now. He's taking care of me, and same for my wife. They've become very paternal, both of our children. I don't know at what stage that flipped, but it is a recognised flipping. Well, I quite like it. It's nice to be pampered, and I think we're getting what we've invested into them back now, which is wonderful because they're wonderful kids. I say kids, but they're both adults. They're giving us back what we invested in them. And I think you do get out of life what you put in, and it's the same with children. Your children will become the people that you wanted them to be or brought them up to be. And I'm so proud of the ones we've got because in my mind, like every parent's mind, some parents have to grow up here and say they were complete disasters as parents and the kids turned out wrong, going with a bad crowd. And, well, it's more of a failing of the parent than the child. It lacked parental guidance, didn't it? Or the parents were delinquent in their guidance because they're too busy going for their careers and worrying about their friends and, So it depends what you invest in. We invested, my wife and I, in our children, and we're very, very close. But as time goes on, I have empathy out to how I used to think, well, old people, they're such tight asses. They've got the money, the gits as well, and they don't do anything about it. They live in a crappy car, and I've gone through this before with you. Their house could need repairing, and then you think, well, why would they do the house up? Why would they buy new cutlery and pots and pans and yada yada? Well, it's everything they own in their house has a memory associated with it, surely. Do you remember there's George the frying pan I used to smack you on the head with when you come home from the pub late at night? It's got the dings in it. Yes, still got the scars to prove it, love. Yeah, 2 eggs over easy. And this is what it's about. And that's it. It's the same for everybody. But I am finding in my latter times that I don't sweat the small stuff. I've sat behind people in car parks and waiting for the barrier to open, or they haven't got the right change. And I know people who go apeshit, the couple in front of them can't quite get their act together and get the money in the machine to make the barrier come up to get in the car park. Come on, beep, 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 what's the delay? You know, you think, why don't you just shut your mouth, fat boy, looking in the rearview mirror? You know, what is the rush? I cannot stand people behind me being so bloody impatient, as though they've never had to do something, or they've never been caught short of small change, or the machine doesn't work for them on occasions. And this is what I find irritating now, because people have got such a short fuse because they're into immediate gratification. I pull up, I'm in a queue. Why is the queue so long? Because you were here late and these people were here before you. Okay, so shut your trap and join the queue and shut your whinging. If you don't like it, get lost. Oh, come on, look at them all. And you think the world's been waiting for you, fat boy. Oh, sure it has, you and your missus. Look at, you know, you think, ah. And the more higher educated people are, the more patient they are. Have you noticed that about people? It's always the morons that are causing the trouble and social unease because of their immediate gratification, and they want it now, and there's no debate with these people. They can't reason, you see. They'll see a long queue and it's a long queue, I ain't having that, I'm not hanging around and I want it now. Hang on a minute. There's a reason for the queue. You know, there's always reasons. And they're not interested in what the reasons are they? The fact is that they are just so impatient and disadvantaged, and it's just directly towards them. They don't give a shit about everyone else suffering. You know, but turn around and have a look at people behind you in the queue then and see how many are behind you, and then moan about it. It would be equally stupid, wouldn't it? But people do moan about such trivia. And I find as I grow older now, I don't get involved with trivia. You know? Because that's what children play with. Trivia are like little toys. You know, they push them around, they shove them, they've all got them. These trivial comments and impatience and everything's me, immediate gratification. And that's what's wrong with society. Even if you get it fast, it just means you get it fast. It doesn't mean you're going to be happier with it. You know, it doesn't, does it really? God, I've been so impatient sometimes. I've been looking for the postman down the road. Bastard hasn't turned up today. God, I ought to get all bent out of shape. It'll be here tomorrow, love. Yeah, but that's tomorrow. And I got so obsessed with this when I was younger. Even on Christmas Eve, I used to strut around and my parents would say, what's the matter? I said, well, look, you know, it's Christmas tomorrow. You'll be all right. We'll have a word with Santa if we can get hold of him. And, you know, and it'll all be there tomorrow. Don't you worry. You might get your prayers answered if you're being a good little boy. And then I got so impatient, I ended up asking my parents, how many days until tomorrow? And I'll never forget that. How many days until tomorrow? I was so impatient. How dare it be a day away? It was one of the few nights of the year I used to deliberately go to bed early and volunteer for that. Yes, how many days until tomorrow? Because that was the stock answer. It'll all be all right tomorrow. Santa will be here tomorrow, maybe tonight. Better be asleep, you know. And we all want tomorrow to happen immediately, don't we? We all want that queue to disappear, you know. And we all want cure to our illnesses. And we all want to wind the clock back. I don't suppose there's a human being on this earth that has ever not wanted to become a child again and start again, but keep hold of what they know now. Because I would, well, yes, I would do lots of things different, but my end result would be hopefully being ended up just as happy as I am now. And now I understand both sides of the camp because I'm technically middle-aged, 50, middle-aged, really? 57, middle-aged? I don't think so. I'm in the autumn of my life, I think. You see, I'm no longer looking forward to this continual, I can't plan too far ahead. I'm being a bit cheeky now, talking about, too far ahead. I'm just grateful for the day I've got. And it's true, isn't it? Be grateful for being here at all. What are the odds of us being here for a start? Have I been here before? I'm pretty sure I've been here before. Twice before. You would have thought I'd learned the third time. This one. Maybe. So, I try not to get bent out of shape anymore. And forgive them, Father, for they know not what they say. And that's what I think about young people. But I now understand and forgive the old grumpies for being old grumpies. Because as I approach my Victor Meldrew period in my life, I do believe it. Yes, I can see why Victor Meldrew was like he was. Because my opinion is, it's getting worse as I grow older. The insanity of our lives. And I suppose my father, when he was younger, and now he's died, but in his lifetime, he often hankered after the old days. And his father before him maybe hankered after the old days as well. And when our children are our age, or my age, for example, maybe they'll hanker after the old days as well. Strange old life, isn't it, really? But I see no merit in coming back again to go through the same old shit, different day, different body. Not really. Because nothing is changing. It's always been like this. And tomorrow will be the same. The sun will come up, the moon will come out. They'll both go to beddy-byes at the appropriate time. The birds will breed and migrate. And it'll be time for us to draw our curtains earlier at the night as the evenings close in for another year. For a new year, next year, different year, same shit. And life is one big succession of that rotation merry-go-round, isn't it? Well, it pays to go without, so you'll know the pain. So when you have it, the avoidance of that pain will be a great motivator in learning how to keep what you've got and take care of it until it's time to give it up. And this is why old folk hang on to things, because they have loyalty. Not everything in their life was disposable, including their husbands and wives. Take a look at our younger generation for that one. Throw away society. Change their wives and husbands like they change their underwear. If you're lucky. Sometimes they put 2 pairs of underwear on. Or they don't even change when they really should. Well, what price loyalty, I say. Catch you tomorrow, folks, and try to be happy with your lot in life, because there's plenty would give their vital organs to have what you have right now. Take care. Bye-bye.